You remember previously there being a murder that you were accused of, a manslaughter. So this would be your second one. Do you have any memory of that? Think back.
Ma'am, I understand that question, ma'am.
Do you remember, like, this lady was murdered? Okay, she was in the bathtub with a knife in her chest. So there you go. And then though previously to that, you had a manslaughter charge against you. So this wasn't the first time, this was the second time. Do you remember the first time? Who that person was or anything?
Ma'am,
No?
I don't remember.
Okay, that's okay. Listen, that's okay.
And it's not dementia. This is actually his strategy to get paroled. And if you don't believe me, well, you might after we take a blast to the past, his 2022 parole hearing. We're going to watch that hearing. Then we'll jump back to the future of 2024. See if you agree with my opinion on it being a strategy, and if he has any luck with it. Then I'll unpack it with the details of the crime.
The record, sir. How old are you?
78.
78? And how long have you been in jail on this manslaughter conviction?
Ever since 1996, ma'am.
Is that 25 years?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were originally charged with second-degree murder, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
But you pled part of a plea, you pled to manslaughter?
Well, ma'am, I went to trial. It was a mistrial. Then they came back to me with manslaughter charge. I went to trial. It was a mistrial.
Did you plead guilty
Right.
to manslaughter? When they came back for the second trial, that's what she's asked. Did you take the plea bargain?
I took the plea bargain.
Okay. Thank you for your help, Warden Goodwin.
Yes, ma'am.
And so how old were you at the time of the crime?
Roughly guess, I believe I was about 54, 55, somewhere along there.
And tell us about what actually happened.
Man, that's been a long time ago.
Well, I know you remember some of the details, so tell Ms. Finazza the details that you remember.
That you remember, yeah.
Ron.
Okay. Well, it's just that all of it was just a nightmare then at the time being. I just don't hardly remember anything. It was just, it's just one of those things that's happened.
The victim was your girlfriend at the time?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. There's some information in the record that I read that y'all were kind of playing. You and she played, with the record says, sneak attacks.
Yes, ma'am. Things like that. And well, she be at home sometime by herself at night, and I work at night, and I was trying to show her how to protect herself, things like that, when somebody sneak up on, things like that. So that's what
That's what happened. That's what was going on when the crime was committed.
Yes, ma'am. I was, trying to show her how to protect herself. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So, Mr. Hall, you are a second offender. Your first offense was simple robbery. You did 5 years for that.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And tell us about, you've been in jail 25 years for this. Tell us what you've done, what programs you've taken since you've been in jail.
Well, I took a few classes since I've been in jail, and the one I didn't know I had. And reentry. I took 8 hours of reentry at Wynn Correction Center. Here, I couldn't take no reentry because I'm not closer to getting out. And so the other 20 hours of reentry, I couldn't take it. Then stress management, victim awareness, I took them. And another one, I took that one too. I have some records there. When they transferred me from Wynn Correction Center, I didn't get them here. And so they're still in progress. I'm trying to get them.
So you mentioned victim awareness. Tell me what you learned out from that program.
Well, victim awareness, I learned that sometimes you have to walk away from things. You have to compromise with things, not within you, outside of you. You got to compromise with other people. You got to compromise. Then you got to respect other people as much as you want them to respect you. And a victim of awareness, things like that.
Mm-hmm. Good. Yeah, good. Did you, you didn't mention anger management, but I believe you took some anger management class.
Yes, ma'am.
What did you learn in that?
Well, I learned how to control your anger. And when other people started getting angry at you, you sort of be quiet, walk away. That don't mean you be scared or afraid of, but you be, getting out the way of them, so you don't know what they were gonna do. So you're gonna try to defend yourself if they act up on you. So anger management, that's a good course to take. So I learned from that too.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. I want to just comment on your institutional record. Looks pretty good. You have what I saw, one write-up, one DB in 2011. Is that accurate?
2011?
Yeah.
Well, it might have been 2011. I thought it was about 2008 or 9 or somewhat like that. It might have been 2000.
Well, maybe I made a wrong note, but it was a low court write-up.
Yeah, it's a long time. But that write-up, I didn't deserve to get that because she said I was smoking. When I wasn't smoking, I was giving the guy another light.
That was 2011, Mr. Knox, March 8th, 2011, at Wynn Correctional Center.
All right, great. Thank you. Tell me what your plan would be if you would be successful today. Where would you go?
Where would I go? Jonesboro, Louisiana. I'll go to Jonesboro, Louisiana, start me a garden out and back. To work, I'm 78 years old. People don't like to hire older people to work. And I do my best working around the house and going fishing, going to church, things like that. Then I was thinking about holding a small meeting with some teenagers, boys, try to teach them not to get into the wrong gang or coming to jail or stay out of jail, don't fool with drugs or nothing like that. That's what I was thinking about doing.
Where would you live?
Jonesboro.
With who?
Pardon me?
Who
would you live with?
It's a lady down there in Jonesboro. I've been knowing her from like the early 80s. Her name is Shirley Austin. Shirley Austin.
She's just a friend?
She's a friend. She's been with me ever since I've been in jail.
Where's she at today? Is she here? She's not with us today.
No, ma'am.
Did you tell her you were coming up for parole?
I told her around about 4 months ago I was coming up for parole. I haven't talked to her lately.
All right, sir. Let me tell you what concerns me. And I voted for you last hearing. I was the only favorable vote you got. I don't know if you remember that, but I did vote for you because the warden had some good things to say about you. But I'm concerned because there's some information in the record that indicates there was in your relationship with Miss Yvonne that you were manipulative, you like to control her, and there were some domestic abuse issues. Tell me about that.
Domestic abuse issue. Ma'am, we didn't have no domestic abuse issue there in our relationship.
Okay, all right.
The only thing she wanted to do was to learn how to protect herself. That's all.
Okay.
She asked me to show her, little things, how to, get away from a predator or thing like that. I try to show her. That's
Okay.
it.
All right, sir. I don't have any other questions. Warden Goodwin, is there anything you can add?
No, ma'am, other than, things we've already discussed. He's, 78 years old, obviously does have some health issues. He is disabled, and, we would help him with, any applications for SSI or disability, things like that. He does have a residence plan submitted to live in Jonesboro, Louisiana with Miss Shirley Austin. He's taken some programming. He got his GED back in 1980, and he took some programs while he was at Wynn Correctional Center. His conduct record is pretty good. He's excellent. Actually, you touched on that earlier. He's had one low court write-up since 2002, since he began his incarceration. So that's pretty remarkable. He's gone 20 years. He's very cooperative with staff. He's very mindful of the rules and regulations of the institution. He's not a problem offender whatsoever. He's been here over 6 years, and he's really not an issue at all. I know the crime he committed, the crime he pled guilty to, is very serious, very significant in nature, and but as far as his institutional history, his institutional record, he's been a model prisoner throughout his incarceration, and he's very, very cooperative with staff and has a good attitude and very good demeanor.
Thank you. Thank you, Warden Goodwin. Appreciate it. Ms. Teresa, could you introduce our guests that want to speak?
First, we will hear from Mr. Darren McGee, who's a victim.
Go ahead, Mr. McGee.
Hey everyone, how y'all doing?
Good.
What John has done, I don't think it's forgivable. After he was found guilty, he knew the consequences of it. And to hear him say it was just one of those things that happen, well, when we do stuff wrong, there's consequences, and it is just one of those things that happen. Teaching my mom how to defend herself with all the brothers she's had growing up, she didn't need that. John, even trying to give him the benefit of a doubt that, maybe you would sit up and tell the truth, there's nothing truthful that's coming out your mouth. And it just hurts because you took everything away from me, my sister. She has grandkids that she don't know about. She has 4 grandkids that graduated from college, one with a master's. She has her youngest at LSU right now. She has a son that did 22 years at a restaurant and broke out from that and started his own business. And I'm not too long. It's just the fact that my mom didn't see any of that because you decided that, hey, I'm gonna take her life. For what reason? A sneak attack drill. And it's I don't know what else to say. No, John should stay locked up. Whether he's been a model prisoner or not, that just means that our tax dollars got a good. He's gonna do what he needs to do, and he won't be a bother to somebody. But John, no, I'm done.
Thank you, Mr. McGee.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Sorry. It's hard, and the things he was saying is not true. For his mama, he trying to teach mama how to defend herself. Mama knew how to defend herself. She did, you know, and the sneak attack, that's not true. He it was one incident that this man, he had draw water in the tub and it sat there for a week because I used to live with them. And he just used to be so sneaky, and it just no, he don't deserve to get out. And I asked mama, like she used to do CNA, and like she'll be hurting, so I'll rub her down because she used to love to sew, and I'll rub her down, and I'm like, Mama, what's wrong? She like, well, I picked up a patient wrong. Was that he didn't never like hit her in the face because I was there, like I leave on weekends or however, but like. And then she'll be like, well, I don't know why he had the water in the tub, but then it came about he had put a towel around her neck. He was in the house, he twisted the towel, her thumbs was up under the towel, and he kept dipping her head in the water. She didn't tell nobody but me. So he tried this before and he didn't succeed. And she was just so scared that she didn't tell nobody. And I asked her, like, Mama, we can tell her. She was like, no, he gonna kill me. He gonna kill me if I say something. And he did, but I thought my mama told my brother because I asked her, she promised that she was gonna tell him, but she didn't. And I mean, but no, he don't deserve to get out. He don't deserve. He took her life. He said that he didn't deserve to get wrote up. My mama didn't deserve to get her life took. He was jealous. My mama used to go to church. She couldn't wear pants. He didn't want her to wear pants at all. She had to wear dresses all the time. It was bad. No, he don't deserve to get out. No, he needs to stay exactly where he is. He shouldn't have got out the first time. And my mama probably would have still been here. He's not a nice man. He was mean to me when I was a child. He's not a nice man. And that's all I have to say. And thank you all.
Thank you, Miss Lewis. Thank you. Mr. Hall, is there a statement you'd like to make to the panel before we vote?
Closing statement, speak only to the parole and I don't.
I'm sorry about what had happened, and I hope it will never happen again. In the meantime, I learned my lesson since I've been locked up, and I thank God to let me live this long to see what people will do to you to keep you behind bars. They'll say anything they will do.
Don't go there.
With that.
Don't go there. Don't say
Yes.
that. Go ahead and finish your statement, but don't.
And I'm sorry about what things we happened now. That's all I can say. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Mr. Hall, you know, I voted for you last time. And that was also based on some positive remarks, but I didn't like what I heard you say today. You're fortunate Warden Goodwin stopped you before you really stepped off in a really huge hole. I don't want a response from you. I'm just telling you what I think. I want to thank Ms. Lewis and Mr. McGee for joining us today and sharing your thoughts. And I know that took a lot of courage and rubbed some really raw wounds for you still. So thank you for your testimony is very important to us. Mr. Hall, I'm going to stick by my vote from last time.
Thank you.
Based on your age and your length of incarceration, I would add special conditions that you have absolutely no contact with any of the victim's family whatsoever, and that you have a curfew from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. And that you enroll in an anger management class. If there's, I want you to enroll and complete an anger management class. I'm just one vote, so I'm going to defer to my colleagues. Ms. Wise?
Mr. Hall, this is, again, I want to thank the victim's family for their participation today. It's very valuable for you all to participate. Mr. Hall, this is my first time meeting you, and my vote is to deny due to the strong victim opposition and the law enforcement opposition. But again, that's just one vote. I just encourage you to reapply when you're eligible, and maybe retake victim awareness to become a little more aware. Spend some more time with that. Best wishes to you, sir.
Mr. Marabella?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Mr. Hall, this is a very tough case, and I'm on the fence. I can tell you that. I want to thank the family of the victim for speaking. Warden Goodwin had some very good comments for you. You kind of undercut those things. This is my first time hearing you and listening to you. And to be perfectly honest with you, when I read your report, I didn't buy the facts of the case. I mean, that's a far fetch for me that you were teaching her self-defense and it just was an accident. I don't buy that at all. Maybe that's just the way you've had to deal with that all your life while you've been in prison, and I accept that and I understand that. I'm glad the warden cut you off, because you were really going to a bad place with the family of the victims in this case. And I've just got some serious doubts. I think, you're 78 years old, and I realize that. I just think you need some more understanding of the victim's plight and those kinds of things. So my vote today is going to be to deny you, but encourage you to take victim awareness, and the next time you come back before the board, understand and realize and accept responsibility for what you did. So that's my vote today.
Thank you, Mr. Marabella. So, Mr. Hall, you received one favorable vote, 2 votes to deny. So today your application for parole has been denied, sir.
Thank you.
Can you even imagine that Miss Renata granted him? I mean, are you kidding me? It's like, what? Miss Renata, come on. But Mr. Marabella gave just some words of advice. You just got to do one thing. You just got to come to the board and you got to be honest. And, well, with the sneak peek that we saw, I don't know. I don't know if he's gonna do that. Now, I'm still stuck on the idea that he is cognitively there. We have seen parole hearings when they are not, that the medical will always make that statement. So either they're dropping the ball or he's whatever. Anyways, the crimes that he committed, the idea that he has killed 2 people in his life and he has much more than that, is scary in itself. And we'll go over the appeal with those details. But before we do, let's go back to the future, or really, should I say the present, because it's September 10th, 2024. Of course, by the time you're seeing this, who knows when it is. But we're going to go see his next parole hearing. And man, the sheriff, Miss Stapleton, they have this thing going. It's fun to watch. Anyways, let's jump in.
All right, we'll get started again today on the next hearing. We're at David Wade, or we're at headquarters in Baton Rouge. Y'all are at David Wade. And so let's see, John Hall. Are you Mr. Hall?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, good to see you today, Mr. Hall. So what we're going to do, Mr. Hall, so that you'll know, is we're gonna have you tell us why you think you're deserving of a parole. All right, and then after you do that, we're gonna get the warden to introduce her staff and to tell us what she, well, you can go ahead and introduce your staff now, Warden, because I'll forget to ask. Who's there?
Michelle Dozot, Warden. Brenda Ackland, Deputy Warden. Lieutenant Colonel Elizabeth Savage. Kristen Harper, Classification.
Danny Henshaw, Classification. Okay, thank y'all for being there. Then we'll have, like I say, Mr. Hall, we'll have you talk first, and we'll have the warden tell us what kind of a inmate that you've been. And then we will move into, it doesn't look like anybody's gonna be speaking in your favor. We'll move into opposition, and we have two people here at headquarters that are going to be speaking in opposition of you getting out. One of them is Marion Lewis, the other is Darren McGee. Then we will go to the board, and I will begin the question, and then we'll have other questions, then we'll vote. So it'll be a pretty quick little process here, okay? All right, Mr. Hall, tell us why should we think about letting you out today, of paroling you?
Well, sir, I think I done learned a lesson since I've been in here, and I found God in my heart too, to respect other people as you would want them to respect you. But I learned how to cope with undesirable things that come my way. I could just walk away from them, and I could never look back at them.
Okay. All right, that's your statement then?
Well,
Okay. All right, that's all you got to say?
I feel like that by getting out, I could do something useful, helping the neighborhood with children program or things like that. And, just try to turn them in the right direction.
Okay. Warden, tell us what kind of an inmate Mr. Hall been.
Yes, sir. Mr. Hall came here in about 2015, and he's only had one rule infraction, and that was in 2011. He does have some medical issues. He's currently being followed by oncology and urology, but has refused any treatment, I think, since June. He hasn't had any treatment. He's been in medium custody the whole time. He works on our limited duty status crew due to his medical issues, but he has completed several courses: anger management, substance abuse, victim awareness, and he's involved in the AANA program. John's doing well here. He doesn't give us any problems.
Okay. All right, that's good. Okay, well, we'll move on to hear from Marion Lewis. Would you talk to us, Marion?
Yes, sir.
And you can, if you'd like to, would you go to the podium, please, and just speak from your heart and speak, fairly loud so that everyone can hear you. Okay.
My mother is with me. She's no longer with us because of John Paul. We took her life. I miss her dearly. I don't think he should be out. He haven't heard anything, I don't think. My mom missed out on so much. Her grandkids being born, achievements that we don't make in our lives. I can't pick up the phone and call her. I can't hug her. They see I have to look at pictures. I have to tell my grandkids that show them pictures. She was a sweet lady. She was God family. She was an usher in the church. She was a seamstress. I miss her so much. There's nothing that he can say or do to bring her back. He never once apologized for what he done. He copped out to a lesser charge. It's hard. Without you, growing up without you, it's hard. It's hard. people don't understand. But no, I don't think he should get out.
Okay,
Thank you all for hearing me.
thank you for coming to the trouble of being here. All right, now we'll hear from Darren McGee.
Thank you for hearing from me today.
Yes.
My sister's like, it's extremely hard. So much I won't say. So much my mom missed out on. So I'll go through some of the things that she just missed out. Kids graduated college. I have 3 that graduated college. My youngest just graduated LSU this year. I don't get to see my mom in those pictures. I don't get to see my mom say, yes, you know, y'all made it. We don't get to see nothing. Me being a truck driver, it's much. I run a load from Monticello, Mississippi to West Monroe, Louisiana. The only way I can get that load to where it needs to be in West Monroe, Louisiana, I have to pass by the road where my mom's. There is no way. It's a concrete slab and the house is broken. So when I pass by, I tell myself regularly, don't look over, don't look over. I constantly look. I don't see my mom sleeping in the door when I bring myself and the family. I see me cleaning up the blood off the floor because we cleaned up the house to the T for whoever was gonna get in next or whatever it is. So we lost a lot. My mom was the glue to our family. Me and my sister are close. We're not nearly as close as we should be. My mom was there. And so much that he has just taken away. We don't fear, we can't talk to him, we can't hug him, we can't do nothing. That's my son.
Thank you for taking the time to come down here, and I'm sorry for y'all's loss. I'm sorry for your loss. Okay, it's our turn now it's our turn now to question. In this particular case, Mr. Hall, this particular case is my case. And I'm sorry about all the health problems that you've got, and you know, that's usually cause for us to really consider the parole. So I need to get a few things straight. This is to be honest with you, this is one of the most bizarre cases I've heard of. Were y'all, let me try to get this out. When you first reported this, you reported that she was practicing sneak attacks on you. Is that correct?
Well, sir, that's been a long time. I just can't remember things back there. It's been a pretty good while, sir. It's been a pretty good while. It's been a long time, been over 20-something years. And I just hardly remember anything back there. I don't even remember a telephone number back there, person name. I don't even remember my children's birthday.
Do you remember killing this woman?
Sir, I don't have no recall for that, sir.
Okay, well, all right. That's all the questions I got.
Okay, do you remember previously there being a murder that you were accused of, a manslaughter? So this would be your second one. Do you have any memory of that? Think back.
Ma'am, I understand that question, ma'am.
Do you remember, like, this lady was murdered? Okay, she was in the bathtub with a knife in her chest. So there you go. And then though previously to that, you had a manslaughter charge against you. So this wasn't the first time, this was the second time. Do you remember the first time? Who that person was or anything?
Ma'am,
No?
I don't remember
Okay, that's okay. Listen, that's okay. I'm finished.
Mr. Freeman, do you have any
I
questions?
have no questions.
I'm prepared to vote. Are y'all prepared to vote?
Mhm.
Okay, my vote is to deny. I don't see how possibly we can allow you to get out into society. I'm sorry about your medical condition, sorry about your age, and Warden, sorry you gotta keep dealing with it, but that's just the way it is. Mr. Hall, you, okay, deny. The same.
Stapleton. Now I'm gonna teach you
Sorry.
about that. Okay, so yes, I agree. You should be denied. You are a continued public service, safety issue. And, you do have a violent criminal past, whether or not you remember it. So based upon, and then law enforcement opposition, those three things.
Okay, I also vote to deny due to law enforcement opposition, victim opposition, and, your past criminal history.
Okay, the vote today has been unanimous to deny, and therefore, your parole has been denied. Thank you, sir.
Well, the sheriff made a mistake. They're calling Miss Stapleton Miss Singleton. I think that was a cute interaction. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he is having those issues. I thought it was part of his his strategy, but what confuses me is that if he is having those issues, why didn't he say it? Or more importantly, why didn't the warden say it, the staff say it, and wouldn't the parole board come to that conclusion? So it doesn't make sense to me, but you might, they're like, there's nothing to talk about. I don't really, I'm confused. I mean, frankly, I'm confused. So now if it was a strategy, then they cut it short. But if he actually is having symptoms of dementia, I mean, that's just can't be the reason why you don't parole. But it could be that they just simply are not going to do that. This parole board is not like the old parole board. They have a different agenda. They're not like Ms. Renatza granted twice. That's not happening in this case. And there are victims there that we heard both times. They're shattered. And this man had never taken responsibility. His story had always been insane. It really was about, and we'll go through it in the appeal, his story about teaching her how to fight for herself. He's killed 2 people in his life. And frankly, some people just can't take a chance on some people. And I'm going to go over the appeal. There's a playlist that we have that's called Return of. If you like seeing when there's before, after, middle, we just did a parole hearing with 4 parole hearings from 2020 to 2024. That's the most we've ever done. Haven't released it yet as of this date, but we'll release it soon. And thank you, Richard, for connecting the dots and making it easy to do that. This playlist is filling up. We have maybe another 30 plus of these kind of hearings on the docket, hearings that we've covered 3 years ago, 2 years ago, a year ago that we're going to fill up in this playlist. So make sure that you do that and subscribe to the channel. Help the channel reach 100,000 subs. I'm trying to get there. Okay. So this appeal was decided in 2002, if you can think how quickly time flies. The defendant was charged with 1 count of second-degree murder. Now, through a plea, the defendant entered a guilty plea to reduce charge of manslaughter. District Court imposed the maximum sentence of 40 years, maximum for manslaughter at the time. And he was appealing that. Now, discussion. The record shows that on Monday, September 16, 1996, the defendant went to the hospital with wounds on his wrists that he claimed had been caused by a fight. The defendant then stated that he had been in the bathroom of his residence when his girlfriend approached him from behind to practice self-defense maneuvers against home intruders. Where have we heard similar stories in true crime? This sounds so familiar. He claimed to have flipped her over his back and that she fell in the bathtub. The defendant did not mention a weapon at the time, but said that he left the house, leaving the victim behind in the belief that she was pretending to be injured. Suspecting something was wrong, hospital personnel contacted the sheriff's office. No kidding. Defendant later told the investigating office that Lewis had been holding a knife when she approached him previously Saturday night. Defendant claimed that Lewis, the victim, had fallen on her knife when he shoved her towards the bathtub. The defendant stated that he departed the residence, leaving the victim in the bathtub. According to the defendant, when he returned on the evening, the victim was still in the bathtub with the knife protruding from her chest. Defendant told the officers that he removed the knife from the victim's body and departed, but he could not remember what happened to the knife. A medical examination of the fatal wound indicated that the victim had been stabbed from behind with extreme force. Further, a pool of blood found on the floor near the bathroom door indicated that the victim had not been stabbed in the bathtub. Friends of the victim informed investigators that the defendant had physically abused the victim and the defendant had removed the victim's property from the joint residence, perhaps in an attempt to make the homicide appear to have resulted from a burglary. After his arrest, the defendant entered a plea of not guilty and not guilty by reason of insanity into the charge of second-degree murder. To the charge, which is punishable by mandatory life sentence, imprisonment, and hard labor without benefit of parole, probation, or suspension of sentence. After receiving psychiatric reports on the defendant, the district court determined that he was competent to stand trial. The defendant pled guilty to the reduced charge of manslaughter, which would have been his second manslaughter charge. Can you imagine? And you might say, well, it was 40-year sentence. How is he up for parole? And that's because of Act 122. Act 122 was passed as a bill, actually passed like across the U.S., not just Louisiana, at least different forms of it. Maybe it has a different name, but the whole idea is to reduce prison. And really, it's just follow the money. It's all about money, because aging prisoners are expensive prisoners, and many prisons are privately owned, publicly traded, like in Louisiana. So got to get rid of these expensive prisoners. So they lobby legislation. Legislation gets passed. Costs go down. Profit goes up. Stock shareholders happy. And the inmates go to different programs that were created, like the Louisiana Parole Project. The Parole Project is still funded by taxpayer dollars. But when politicians talk about different things like prison population and costs, it's under different balance sheets and blah, blah, blah. We're all just being played with. It's a big game. And at the cost of the victims who have to show up to these parole hearings every 2 years and cry and beg and plead not to have their murderers and their whatever, monsters released. And of course, the society that are at risk of being hurt again by people who are getting out too early. But that's a different story, We're just sheeple. We don't understand. We don't understand how this stuff works, of course. And maybe that's why Miss Renatza granted. Miss Renatza, I feel like, is I like her, and there are parts where I don't, but she's grown on me, and she certainly, she's impressive. She has a very impressive history. She was like the first most highest ranked female person in Louisiana DOC all the way back to I think the 80s or something. She's a tough, what's it called when someone spearheads? I don't know the word I'm looking for, but I like her a lot, but at the same time, she's anyways, prior to imposing sentence, the district court considered pre-sentence investigation report that defense applied the addendum to the report. The court noted that the defendant was 58 years old at the time of his sentencing. He did this when he's 58, and considered his social history in some detail. Now listen to this. Defendant had quit school in the 9th grade, was honorably discharged from the military after a 4-year enlistment. Wow, he was in the military for 4 years and honorably discharged. If you were curious about, that says something. Although he was married with 3 adult children, he lived with the victim for 15 years. The defendant employment record is unknown. Record included, not unknown. Defendant employment record included long-term work as a logger. Isn't that one of the most dangerous jobs in the U.S.? Defendant did not have a juvenile record. In the 1970s, he was convicted for battery and theft. In 1980, the defendant was arrested for attempted first-degree murder, simple robbery, resisting an officer. He was convicted by a jury on the robbery charge. In that case, the defendant severely beat an elderly man, took his money, and left him lying unconscious on the ground. Additionally, the defendant held hostage for several days a woman who had witnessed his crime, fearing she would tell authorities. It just gets better, huh? The court determined that the incident offense manifested deliberate cruelty to the victim. The court noted that the defendant had removed items from the victim's property from the residence and had taken them to the home of another woman with whom he was romantically involved. The court considered the defendant's history of violence and noted that the method of the stabbing and the homicide indicated specific intent to kill, cause serious injury. The court had no indication of stronger provocation, excuse, or justification of the defendant's actions. The court noted the defendant had threatened the victim prior to his homicide and stated that it did not believe the defendant's story that he and the victim were practicing methods of self-defense. No kidding. You know what I'm confused about here is that it looks like the parole board made a mistake. They made a mistake or I misheard, but I am pretty confident that they spoke about him having 2 murders and 2 homicides, and it was plead down to manslaughter. And it wasn't. It was an attempted murder because the man did not die. Right? So, but it's interesting because I don't think did he say I don't remember that one? Then he would, then he, then that would be many points on his side because he would have said, no, I didn't. He lived. It was attempted. But anyways, that's it. He's clearly needs to stay where he is for, I think, every reason in the book, in my opinion. What do you think? Help the channel reach 100,000 subscribers by subscribing. Make sure you check out the playlist Return Of. That's where all of these type of hearings are going. And with that, I'll let you go.
This is my first time hearing you and listening to you. And to be perfectly honest with you, when I read your report, I didn't buy the facts of the case. I mean, that's a far fetch for me that you were teaching her self-defense and it just was an accident. I don't buy that at all. Maybe that's just the way you've had to deal with that all your life while you've been in prison, and I accept that and I understand that. I'm glad the warden cut you off because you were really going to a bad place with the family of the victims in this case. And I've just got some serious doubts.
I don't even remember my children's birthday.
Do you remember killing this woman?
Sir, I don't have no recall for that, sir.
No, he needs to stay exactly where he is. He shouldn't have got out the first time. And my mama probably would have still been here. He's not a nice man. He was mean to me when I was a child. He's not a nice man. And that's all I have to say. And thank you all.